So I'm going to throw my 2 cents in on what makes up a sheepdog. Yankee Marshall and Never Enough Ammo have both made videos, so I decided, well, hey, I'll throw in my 2 cents for what it's worth, which probably isn't a lot. But in my view, a sheepdog has to have 2 things going for them. They have to be trained and capable, and they have to be willing to act. So kind of consider that like ready and willing. So let's take a scenario. Let's say there's a car accident and I drive by and I'm a doctor. Well, I'm trained to handle that, but I look over there and say, well, as a doctor, there's a lot of insurance, a lot of liability. I'm going to drive on by. So I'm trained to handle the situation, but I choose to ignore it. All right, another person drives by and they see the accident and they stop and jump out of their car and they have no medical equipment, no medical training whatsoever. And they go and start trying to pull the person out and they got a hurt neck and they end up making things worse and all that. So that's kind of the difference between the two. What you want to have in that situation is you want to have someone in an ambulance show up who's got the training and who's willing to work on people. The point of having an ambulance also is he has the equipment with him and he's got the authority to act. So when we think of sheepdog, we think of soldiers, firemen, people in ambulances, first responders, police officers, those sort of things. Now, does that mean that a civilian can't be a sheepdog? Absolutely not. But you have to know what you're doing and you have to be willing to act. There's lots of people in this world that when something horrible happens, they are frozen. They go into shock. They stand around in a crowd and go, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Maybe someone has the competency to pick up the phone and call 911. But the normal individual who's out there in our world is just going to freeze up and be like, I don't know what to do. This is horrible. That's the normal response. So the sheepdog would be the type that would sit there and go, well, this is horrible. That guy's bleeding out on the ground. I have to do something. So he's willing to act. Now the question is, does he have any training? Does he have any equipment? Does he have a first aid kit he can go? Does he know how to put pressure on a wound? Does he know how to look at someone and go, hey, you, call an ambulance? That sort of thing. So that's what a sheepdog is. It's a person who can act and is willing to act and knows what they're actually doing on top of that. Now a lot of people go into this whole, well, I'm all into guns and blah, 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 and if a bad guy showed up, I'd go take care of it thing. And those people in general, I would like to kind of put into the category of mall ninja. They think they're ready to act, and they certainly have the propensity to act, but they haven't been trained. A law enforcement person who's been through SWAT or a person who's been in the military, even people in the military really sometimes don't know what to do in those situations unless that's specifically part of their job in the military. You take a guy who works a radar station and put him in a combat environment, he's gonna, basically know how to shoot a rifle, but he's not gonna be trained on what to do necessarily like the infantryman who has taken rounds before, and he might freeze up. So again, a sheepdog has to have the willingness to act and has to also have the capability and the training to act. So that's the major difference in my opinion between you're basically your sheepdog person and your mall ninja type person and your other person who just stands there and is all locked up, and then another person who runs in there and doesn't know what to do, but they're going to get into it because they know how to act. So again, I would say the number one thing that you as a person who's watching this video needs to do is you need to get training, period. Training never hurts you. Knowing how to do things doesn't hurt you. Doesn't matter if you learn how to do it on YouTube, if you go and take a first aid class, if you go and take a tactical class at the range. Don't think because you go out to the range and can hit that bullseye with your weapon every shot that prepares you for a active shooter environment. Don't think because you watch ER and Grey's Anatomy that you know what to do in a medical emergency. You need actual training to do that stuff. On top of that, you need mental preparation because all of these scenarios are horrible. Even people who may have gone through training, the first time they go out in the field, they have to be exposed over and over again with an experienced person to get past the shock of, seeing people who are seriously injured, who, seeing the sight of blood. So again, get training, mental training. Prepare yourself for these things. Read books, learn things. You know, you want to be that person that in an emergency situation you know what to do and are prepared to do it. And that's what really makes people sheepdogs. They're people who save people's lives, not people who are like vigilantes who go out and kill other people.
Meep, meep.